Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi and Neymar are undoubtedly some of the best players to ever grace the football game. But one thing also common to them besides their incredible talents and skills is that they almost died at a point in their football career. Yeah, 3 of them, on different scenarios. And not only them, many other top footballers also. These are the 8 footballers who almost died. Number 8. Cristiano Ronaldo. It was on January the 8th, 2009, and that day, Ronaldo will never forget in his life. It was barely 3 days after he bought a sleek and beautiful Ferrari for himself, but little did he know he was signing up for a near-death experience. Yeah, you might think he was on a speed cruise with the boys, trying to show off his new baby? Well, that's not it, though he was on a scary 150 miles per hour. It wasn't a cruise, he had a reason for it. Manchester United had lost their previous match, so the manager called for an unusual team meeting and training. All the players were gathered except Cristiano Ronaldo. One of his teammates gave him a call, only to find out Ronaldo was sleeping. Yeah, he had overslept. Realizing this, Ronaldo jumped out of bed. He knew the boss's take on lateness and wouldn't dare to be late, but unfortunately, he had just 20 minutes to get to the training ground, and the only way he could pull that off was to use his new Ferrari. Ronaldo got into the car and off he went, moving at top speed. The grease on the road got into his tires, and before he could blink an eye, boom! There was a crash. The onlookers could only hope their upcoming football superstar would survive it. Luckily, Ronaldo crawled out of his crashed car, unhurt, with no scratch or wound. I bet being safe was the best compensation for the car loss. At least this mistake is a personal one. The next one was due to the club's carelessness. Number 7. Thiago Silva. The hard-to-beat centre-back got to the verge of death even before he became a superstar. Not many people know that Thiago Silva signed for Dynamo Kiev. Dynamo, however, made a big mistake. They never conducted any medical checks for Thiago Silva and other young talents they recruited at that time. After a few days of showing serious symptoms, the medical team had him undergo a series of tests. And unfortunately, Silva was diagnosed with tuberculosis. He was bedridden for almost 6 months. If the disease had been discovered a couple of weeks later, you would have died, the doctor told the Brazilian in hospital. It was a close call for him, one that had him consider dropping football for another career. Silva would go on to win many titles, including the Serie A title, many French League One trophies, and the Champions League. Number 6. Fernando Torres. During a match between Atletico Madrid and Deportivo La Coruña, Fernando Torres had a near-death experience he will never forget. An aerial duel ensued between Torres and Alex Berganitos in the 85th minute, resulting in a heavy clash that left Torres hitting his head on the ground, choking his tongue, and going almost unconscious. It would have been the end of the fine goal scorer if they had left him unattended for a few minutes. The situation was rescued anyways, thanks to the quick responses of his teammates, Gabi and Simish Raliko, who forcefully opened Torres' mouth while waiting for the medics. Some of his teammates were busy calming the audience down while the rest rallied around Torres. Torres spent the night in the hospital, following the doctor's advice to rest for 48 hours as there were no traumatic injuries. He later took to his Twitter to post this: "Thank you all for caring for me and for your messages of encouragement. It was just a scare. I hope to return very soon." And yes, he did return. Well, you only return to the pitch because you have once been there, but in Neymar's case, he wouldn't have even had the chance to grace the pitch at all, not to talk of returning. Number 5. Neymar Jr. The skillful Brazilian player could have died many times before entering the limelight. He was in the car with his parents when a terrible accident occurred, which almost took his life when he was just a year old. As I said, he could have died even before discovering his football talent. His father, Neymar Sr., recalled the event and explained in an interview, "Going down the mountain on rainy days is always dangerous. A car came towards me. I tried to swerve to the left. Neymar was badly hurt. My left leg landed on top of the other, dislocating my hip bone." He continued, "I was in a state of shock and said to my wife, 'I'm dying, I'm dying.' My worst fear, beyond the pain, was the sensation that followed. Where is my son?" We couldn't find Neymar Jr. We thought we had lost our son. The car stopped on a cliff. I was trapped by my seatbelt, and we didn't know where Ney was. The people who came to rescue us found him under the back seat of the car. Thank God. When we rescued him, he was covered in blood. Thankfully, all three survived the accident. Neymar Jr. grew into the superstar we know today with huge support and training from his father. Number 4. Christian Eriksen. Compared to the ones I've shared, Eriksen's case is even more peculiar. The Danish midfielder claimed to have died for about 5 minutes. Yeah, you heard me right. Well, that's what he said. In the 41st minute of a Euro 2020 match between Denmark and Finland, all eyes were on Christian Eriksen as one of the hopes of the Danish team. He put everyone in shock as he collapsed right amidst the game. His girlfriend ran onto the pitch, devastated by the sight of her lover lying unconscious. The tension was reduced when a defibrillator charged Eriksen back to life. When asked what he'd remembered, Eriksen had nothing much to say, but "I remember it all, except those few minutes I was in heaven." Maybe he really died. Maybe not. Whatever. We're just glad he's back on the pitch, creating magic. The next is even more critical. Number 3. Petr Cech. The Chelsea legend was known for great saves. He saved the ball and his team. However, in October 2006, Cech almost lost his life while attempting to save a ball heading towards the goal. It was a game involving Chelsea and Reading, and as usual, Cech was trying to remain dominant in his position. He rushed forward to pick up the ball and collided heavily with Stephen Hunt, got injured on the head, and fought for his life. There was a quick response from the medical team to rescue the situation. After diagnosis, Cech was found to have a fractured skull. We thought that would be the last of him on the pitch, but he came back, fully recovered with a protective headgear to protect himself. Well, I can say a fractured skull is still better than Raul Jimenez, who suffered a severe brain injury. Number 2. Raul Jimenez. 2021 was a good year for Wolves. They were in superb form. They had a match with Arsenal in October, and Jimenez led the pack up front. He had scored many impressive goals and was expected to do the same, but David Luiz had other plans to stop him. Luiz and Jimenez clashed while fighting for the ball, resulting in both men being down. Luckily, Luiz got up unhurt, but that wasn't the case for Jimenez. The Wolves forward was in a state of life and death. The medical team had to use emergency oxygen on him to rescue the situation, but that didn't work. They wheeled him off to the hospital, where he had surgery as he had suffered a major brain injury. Not to worry, Jimenez was a warrior. He bounced back and returned to football life, even though it took him 9 long months. Number 1. Lionel Messi. Messi was still a Barcelona player when death beckoned on him, and he almost succumbed. Messi was expected to perform his magic during a return leg match against Juventus in 2007. Juventus were already leading 3-0 from the first leg. The pressure could not get higher. Messi decided to do the unthinkable as he leapt to head the ball from across from the left flank. That's not the regular Messi we know. His height discourages him from attempting headers. But hey, he had a game to win desperately. Well, Messi lost the ball and almost lost his life as well. He landed from that jump with his head to the ground, which injured his neck. Oh no, everyone thought that was the end, but the medical team swiftly responded. According to them, if Messi had gone just 2 millimeters higher, he could have broken his neck completely and might have died on the spot. Messi was injured for a few weeks, but returned to continue his good run of form, dribbling like a trickster, scoring goals and doing all the other stuff he knows best. But that's not all about the tragic moments ever seen in football. Check out this video on the top heartbreaking moments in football.